Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories. This is the random corner of the internet where my best friend Morgan and I scour everything that's going on online and our inboxes for true, weird, funny, embarrassing, ridiculous, oftentimes really embarrassing stories. And then we turn them into 20-minute bedtime tales to help you take your mind off of whatever is making you spiral out of control into the depths and misery that is modern life and to bring you someplace later and more digestible. I don't know what the right word is there, but really, we're just trying to make your lives a little bit better, a little bit more relaxed, and a little bit lighter for 20 minutes. So, this is a story about what can go wrong when you're trying to be sexy in college. And whatever you're stressed out about right now, you can just be happy that this didn't happen to you. So sit back, relax, tune in, tune out, unplug, plug in, and enjoy this story about Peyton and her desire to spice things up. When Peyton left the adult entertainment store with the black bondage ropes, she was concerned that they looked a little too professional. She and Scotty had been together since day one of freshman orientation and had been inseparable throughout all 4 years of college. She wasn't sure if it was their dual anxieties about graduation, but things hadn't felt the same between them all semester. He planned to spend a year working for his uncle as a deep sea fisherman in Bermuda, and she was applying to teach for America all the way out in Alaska. They danced around the subject of their future together, but neither had broached the conversation. They'd been awkward around each other, and things had definitely gotten stale in the bedroom. All of this is why, while reading the latest issue of Cosmo on a Southern college campus in 1999, Peyton got the idea to spice things up in the bedroom. She talked her three roommates into making the hour-and-a-half drive out of the city to one of those romance stores on the side of the interstate. The reasoning behind this was that the place was sure to have a better selection than the shop in town, and also, well, they sure as hell didn't want to bump into anybody that they knew. When they turned off of exit 47, following their printed out MapQuest directions to the dusty warehouse plastered with vinyl photos of Playboy bunnies, Peyton felt legitimately uncomfortable. What was she even doing? Was the problem with Scotty their sex life, or was it something else she couldn't place? Of course she would end up with him, right? Her roommates interrupted her inner monologue by pushing her through the tinted doors before she could even come up with a meaningful answer. The place was huge. There were probably 10,000 DVDs stacked across a wall with photos that made Peyton immediately blush. A section to the left was filled with so many blow-up dolls it looked like an alien house party, and the lingerie department was a satin and lace disaster. None of this was her style. She wanted to spice things up like Cosmopolitan had suggested, but all of this just seemed ridiculous and a little gross. Oh my God, I bet Scotty would love this. Lisa, her least sober roommate, held up a French maid costume. The sight of it made Peyton shudder. Maybe this was a mistake. Peyton made a face, gesturing to the racks of scarily sized appendages. I'm not wearing one of these costumes. I'm not watching any of these videos. And if I look at those dolls one more time, I'm going to have nightmares until I'm 30. Lisa grabbed a shopping basket and placed the maid costume right in it. You're being uptight. Maybe that's the problem. Peyton gritted her teeth and scrunched her nose against the offensive smell of imitation vanilla that seemed to be pumping through the air duct. Beth, her closest friend of the group, put her arm around her. You know that's not the problem. Even Lisa knows it's not the problem. We're going to find you something. Peyton and Beth linked arms and purposefully walked through the ginormous warehouse meant to serve every kink imaginable. They walked past the section with the neon toys, peeked in the area with the remote-controlled ones, and then stopped to stare wide-eyed at the glass ones. Finally, they came upon the bondage section. Beth swayed in. This could be fun. It's not too weird. Peyton agreed. Okay, cool. I'll get some handcuffs and we'll get out of here and then hit Whataburger on the ride back. Peyton grabbed some silver plastic cuffs from the hook and was ready to make a mad dash to the register. Before Bats could wholeheartedly agree with the plan, the girls were interrupted by a tall, thin woman painted with aggressively goth makeup. You don't want those, she deadpanned. Peyton looked at her merchandise. Why didn't she want these? Were they some sort of sex toy gateway drug that would land her on the cover of one of those terrifying DVDs within the next 6 months? Did they have a secret locking mechanism? Were they too? Peyton's mind was interrupted again. Lame. Those are super lame. They'll break in like 2 seconds. Peyton looked at Beth, who rolled her eyes, coming to her friend's defense. She's happy with these. She's getting these. Okay. Morticia was basically speaking out of her nasal passages at this point. But unless you're a really good actress, you're going to be like pretending to struggle against these because they're totally not going to hold you. And the goth angel paused for effect, her eyes 60% closed, as if this much talking was already boring her to death. That would make me feel really dumb. Peyton's body made a small, involuntary gasp. If this toy was going to make Morticia Adams embarrassed and self-conscious, there was no way that Peyton was going to take this devil toy back to the frat house. Peyton narrowed her eyes, handing the package back to the woman. Okay, what do you suggest? And this is how Peyton Rice became the proud owner of a combo set of what seemed like military-grade ropes. She teased Scotty all night at dinner about her secret plan. He had some questions. Where is the surprise happening? He wanted to know over tacos and tequila. Because the rest of the guys are prepping for the barbecue, so we can't be doing stuff in the kitchen. We won't be in the kitchen. Peyton tried to deadpan, copying the black lipstick saleswoman. We'll be in the bedroom. And with lightning speed, Scotty got the check and raced Peyton back to the frat house, through the kitchen that had enough meat in it to choke a lion, and up to his bedroom. He laid down the paisley window coverings while Peyton pulled the package out of her backpack and placed it in the center of the bed. Scotty opened it, trying to contain the massive smile spreading across his face. Wow, these are serious. Scotty, the avid fisherman, loved ropes, and before Peyton knew it, she was securely attached to his 4-poster queen bed. Peyton, spread like an eagle, looked at her boyfriend of 4 years and burst out laughing. And Scotty did the same. This wasn't them. They liked going hiking and bowling and once went to a cooking class together where they made their own ice cream for dessert. This was totally out of their league and most definitely out of their comfort zone. So, what do you want me to do? Asked Scotty, trying to suffocate his chuckling by repeatedly clearing his throat and ruining whatever was left of the mood. Peyton felt her blush return. Now she had to tell him what to do? Didn't he know her at all? This was not her thing. She looked at him, ready to laugh again, but he was totally serious. Scotty picked up the bondage package and looked at the insert. Doesn't exactly come with directions. Peyton let out a heavy sigh. This is not how she'd envisioned the evening panning out. Here, fine, she thought. She'd walk him through it, like everything else in the relationship. Why don't you tease me a little bit? I'll close my eyes. Scotty shrugged. A few loud yells erupted from the floor below, and Peyton just knew in her heart that her boyfriend was wishing that he was downstairs prepping for the barbecue instead of being there with her. She shook her head. It's okay, we don't have to do this. It was a dumb idea. Why don't you just untie me? No, it's awesome that you got these. It's super hot. Really, I don't know what to do. I've got a lot on my mind. There's so much pressure these days, figuring out what to do when... Peyton tried not to scream. Scotty, I totally want to have this talk with you, but can you please untie me first? And then, before they could have this important and long overdue conversation, they were interrupted. Not by one of Scotty's many frat brothers, or by a phone ringing, or by a dog jumping on the bed. No, they were interrupted by the deafening siren of a fire alarm. Now, Peyton and Scotty did a lot of things in their lives very well. Peyton was going to turn into an excellent teacher, and Scotty would eventually spend time on almost every body of water on the planet. But neither excelled under stress. Get me out of here, Peyton wailed because Scotty had froze. She tried to kick him, but her ankles were bound a little too securely. Scotty, wake up! Scotty's head swiveled back to Peyton, and he stared at her for the next instruction. Untie me, Peyton yelled with more force than she'd said anything in her life up until this moment. As Scotty tried really, really hard, but the alarm was so loud and the pressure was so on, and they were about to jump out the second-story window into one of those giant trampoline things, butt-ass naked for the entire campus to see? He didn't know. Scotty was debilitated by the idea. Peyton was now sweating profusely. Scott, Michael, Lawrence, get these things the fuck off of me! Scotty went to work on Peyton's left foot, that these were serious ropes, and his hands were seriously shaking. He almost had them totally undone when, yes, he heard a banging on the door. "Fire department, open up!" Scotty, a good direction follower, popped right up. "Coming," he yelled. "What do you think you're doing?" Peyton screamed. "Don't open the door." Another knock, this time louder, coupled with the alarm still wailing, was really stressing them both out. "Everything okay in there?" Scotty wrapped a towel around his waist. "Babe, I just need to tell them everything is fine." "Cover me up!" Peyton yelled as he quickly placed his lacrosse sweatshirt over the most vulnerable parts of her body. Then he opened the door a crack. "Everything is fine. You don't need to come in here." Peyton just stared at the back of Scotty's head. This guy had been the love of her life for the past 4 years. He'd been with her for every memory of college, and even though they'd felt more like study buddies lately, she had still sort of planned on being part of his future. Maybe because she'd never seen this side. He couldn't step it up under pressure. He couldn't lie. And it turns out he was a fisherman who couldn't untie his own knots. Peyton squeezed her eyes shut, wishing for it all to be over. When she opened them, there was Scotty standing at the head of the bed, and 3 firemen were beginning to untie her ankle. She closed her eyes again. There was no way in hell that she was going to look at anyone in that room. She laid there, pretending she was somewhere else, anywhere else. She felt her left ankle release, then her right, and then both wrists. She still did not open her eyes. "Ma'am, are you okay? Are you here on your own free will?" Now Scotty decided to step it up and be helpful. "She's the one who bought the ropes." "Ma'am, is this true?" Peyton managed to squeeze out a yes between teeth so gritted they could have crumbled in her mouth. She felt Scotty bring her a blanket. "Ma'am?" Peyton wrapped the blanket around her and opened up one eye, just a little. "We're going to need some ID." And whatever sliver of dignity Peyton was holding on to vanished as she shuffled over to her backpack and pulled out her wallet. Then, as quickly as the alarm had turned on, it turned off, and the firefighters shuffled out the door. Peyton collapsed onto the floor. The ropes hung limply from the bed frame. Then Scotty cried. "It's okay," Peyton offered half-heartedly. He laid his head on her lap. "Okay," thought Peyton. "Now I'm comforting him." The barbecue had a small gas fire, but the house and everybody in it were okay. She and Scotty broke up soon after. Peyton went off to Alaska, had the time of her life, and never dated a fisherman again. But the story still gets worse. This all happened during Parents' Weekend, and the story made it into the local police blotter. And even though they didn't use names, everybody knew who it was about. Aren't you grateful that didn't happen to you? And sweet dreams.
Thanks for listening to Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories. We're here to help you take your mind off whatever is making you spiral by listening to a story about someone else's hilarious or mortifying experience. And we know you have your own. Please DM or email your stories of bad decisions, miscommunications, and Murphy's Law. Your support helps us keep doing what we love. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. And as always, sweet dreams. This episode was written and recorded by Joe Newman with editing and sound design by Morgan Walsh.